Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see some familiar names.
I think we have good enough participants here to get this started. We have a lot of content to cover,
Mhm.
respecting everybody's time here. Once again, with that, let's see here, do a quick introductions. If some of you are seeing me for the first time, I'm Jithendra Ganji, founder CEO of TechGrit. I'm the I'm leading the AI first engineering mission to for TechGrit and as well as for our clients. I'm basically a builder, architect, and the operator. TechGrit mission is very simple. Here we are trusted partner at building software better and with the faster with using the intelligent engineering or the integrations with the a strong cultural background with the work ethic and the ownership and the craft there. Uh, and we have Ravi here. I'll quickly have him introduce himself and then we'll get into the topic here. Ravi, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jitu. So, I'm a happy customer of Jitu's, and Jitu helped me with TechGrid helped me with outsourcing development for my baby Al Dente, my product. So I'm a very happy customer, and I was so impressed with Jitu. I jumped on this opportunity to work with him again. So some of you know me. I am the founder of Org Whisperers out here in Dallas, Texas, and I'm a Scrum.org professional Scrum trainer, certified ROI professional from ROI Institute. My mission in life is to disrupt the needless destruction of human potential. Our time on planet Earth is very precious, limited, and sometimes I feel in tech, uh, we go to work with the best of intentions, and when we come back home, we are just drained. And my mission is to disrupt that. So one of the reasons that happens is we spend money without any ROI, and this topic is very dear to my heart. There's a mad spending going on about AI, and what I want to do with Jitu today is to give you some suggestions and options so that we don't waste precious time and money on AI and destroy potential. So that's why I'm here, and thank you, Jitu, for this opportunity. Back to you.
Thank you, Ravi, for your time and thank you for the opportunity here. Real quick, setting the expectations. This 1 hour is not going to give you a PhD in AI. Even I'm not a PhD candidate, and we're not going to give you a 200-page manual or the theoretical frameworks for you, and no magic stick for the AI will solve everything for you. What we are going to do is that we are going to share some simple our personal experiences based composite story using the fictitious characters, but and make you reflect on along the way with us about what's your current state of fit, where do you fit, and then towards the end of it, what we can promise is about at least you will get a curated toolkit of the resources and the framework idea from Ravi, and as well as the option for schedule a 20-minute or 40-minute diagnostic assessment with us, right? If you are interested for that. Otherwise, you would be on your own too. The whole idea is about to making sure, how you are going to utilize this hype cycle, and then, successful in this journey, yourself and your team. So that's what you can expect from this. Here, I'm going to introduce the character that I'm talking about, Sam. Sam is nothing but it's a representation of our clients that we have been working with and the prospects that we are talking to. Use it the role CEO so that story can be told wisely here and relatable. Um, as you can imagine, PE-backed firm so that what kind of a pressure your board can put you on about whatever is going on the marketplace. It's ABC Enterprises is a 85 employed, 12 million ARR based and growing, but under intense pressure to meet the numbers. And Sam's mission is about it's not simple, it's aggressive goals. And the mission for him has to make a company valuation to 24 months and show the board innovation, show the board efficiency, and the outpace the competitors who are really AI native or talking AI native. So that's the character for us. We will be using it today. You can start think about where you sit, for your company, what kind of expectations you are getting from your board or the senior leadership for that. And here, the month one, Sam is reading everywhere. It's a real story and talking to many people day in, day out. Now, what you see, what you hear is about the AI is increasing the developer productivity by somewhere around 30% to 50%. Companies are using AI to ship faster, right? 2x, 3x. Even some of our clients are demanding to 5x, 10x also can be possible. That's what the challenge that they are putting in front of us. So then your competitors are already AI native. That's what you are hearing, but you don't have the internal information, how much of that, but it's a story that you are hearing it. And you will be left behind if you don't move now. You feel like, okay, you're going to miss the boat. And you just need to, what's the immediate reaction? Like many of us is about, okay, buy AI tools, think like that's a success, and then train the models are the train the team members and buy them fast and buy lots of them. That's what is happening. That's the AI shopping spree is going on all over. And there are many options. Does that resemble how AI adoption is happening to you and your company? I'll take a moment. Think about it.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from all of you because each of you have a unique perspective into what's happening in the industry. What are you noticing? What kind of pressures are you seeing in your company or your friends, colleagues, relatives? What are you noticing in the industry? You can use the webinar chat panel if you like.
Mhm.
And as
Okay.
I'm listening to Sam's story, I'm feeling the anxiety that Sam is like, okay, I got to do something. And I'm seeing a comment from Neil, AI chaos, a lot of talk. Thank you, Neil.
So we'll be keep getting, please share your thoughts there, your emotion, and what is that one thing that is, that you are thinking about and the challenge in your AI journey. And this is just a representation again, not exactly for one client, but it is the represents the 80% of the reality how this AI toolkit is looking for the clients that we are serving, who are already in the journey for that. So I took the SAMS as a health tech SaaS. You can see that 22 developers team and the 5 QA and the overall cost coming. Entire SDLC, you can see some of the tools from designing ideation to deployment. You have AI tools available and you are introducing those. And the cost within 6 months, it's around somewhere around 52 grand is for the 22 developers team set. And as well as for a comparison purposes, we have another company, another client where 35 devs team, where the overall cost 6 months spend is going to be 97 grand. How does this compare to your 6-month AI spend? Just think about it. What kind of a tools? Whether are you tracking? There are stories where people are unable to track. Also, they're just buying and exploring.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I would love to see on the chat window how does
Mhm.
this tool set and spend compare? Yeah, back to you, Jitu.
Yeah, think about that. 6 months later, you know that you have spending is easy to track. You have people helping you out how much you are spending and now. Now imagine that you are in the board meeting with Sam. You are sitting opposite to Sam, and Sam is providing the updates. And how do you think? Now, what would you say about it? Sam is very proud, excited, telling the story. He's trained the entire team on AI adoption. He bought the tools and they adapted at least somewhere around 5 to 8 tools in their product engineering and SDLC. And they think that I think the transformation is complete. It's good. 3 months, 6 months, probably it's complete. Let's see. And he's ready to request for the 50% increase in AI budget and R&D spend. Okay, he thinks that they can accelerate adoption in AI for strategy more. So that's the story. What would you say? Think about it. This is our Sam's experience on month 7. Board meeting happening. It's fun times, right? Butterflies. Now, I'm not going to read all of it, but leave it out there for the gist of it. Board member sees that 52 grand again is line item for AI software. Simple question, non-technical. What are we getting for that? There's a sense of joy. rolled out AI tools for engineering team loves it. And our adoption has been great. Okay. Yeah, I don't doubt that they love them because new toy, new things. But what am I getting? Are we shipping products faster? Yes or no? Yeah, Sam says that the team reports being more productive. Yeah, he trusts his people. It's more productive. But board member, that's what they do that. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking. Can you show me where we are delivering more to customer than before you spend this money? So this is how the conversation is going, right? But comparison, now Sam doesn't have hard data to tell. Why? There's no benchmark of it. So board member says that next quarter I need ROI data. If you can't prove the value, we are going to cut the budget. So let's look at some facts here. Sam is now urgency to put an emergency surveys. I love those surveys, truly. I have a lot of respect for surveys, but if you do it right. But if you are reading the survey responses, it's all funny, but they tell the truth. So this is some of the sample answers from the team members that you can imagine, and that's true. It's collected. Funny one is about, see the Jessica's one. Hey, there is a rumor this is a layoff study. Half the team thinks if AI works too well, we are all gone. So nobody is really trying. But bottom line, I think all the departments, designers in the different streams of SDLC cycle got introduced to these tools, right? Figma, people are using. The story is about Greenfield, it works well. But for the existing, now how is it working? What kind of a benchmarks we have? They stopped using it after 2 months of it. And the prompting. If somebody is not really well versed with the prompt engineering and prompts, and then they are not getting the right code, and it's all fluff, and then went bad. And subject matter expert, senior dev is really busy with the releases. No time to try this one, and then he's not even trying it out. So that's the story going on. And the tech lead Priya says that maybe 10% faster, 5%, and no idea. So engineering leaders like CTO, now it's time to realize that, oh, we don't have any baseline metrics at all to compare even what's the productivity gain, how fast we are shipping, and do we have the new playbook to compare against traditional to the new one. So that's where I think the today's engineering leadership is struggling with how to assess what's going on there. The brutal truth, after 6 months, you spend the money, there are no baseline metrics established, no success criteria is defined because it's an innovation. It's easy to say that, right? Innovation, it's all well spent. And but what you're seeing is only 30% of actual utilization of purchased licenses, not the productivity or anything gained. It's a usage itself is that. And what did we get for our money? You can't answer for that for the board. So that's a story. I'll wanted to have you think about it for a moment again to, where do you land in that? Now, how does that fit into your environment? And before I hand it over to Ravi, I have one or two other slides to talk about the numbers. This is what obvious story you can expect 6 months later, right? A board slashes AI budget if you are really not showing it, and the team morale tanks if you are taking out subscriptions for that, and if you are changing the tools right, left and right, without having a clarity on why you are changing and all. You can't speak to your team members if you don't have a right measures to really show them, tell them that. And the valuation growth stalls because you are already distracted. You're not solving the business problem. You're rather, fascination with the AI tools adoption, and right, there is a joy going on with that. So now the AI opportunity became your AI liability for the business outcome that you're expecting for that. With that, I'm going to share one more slide here, industry reality. This is nothing new. You might have seen already 95% of GenAI pilots fail to generate measurable ROI. It's a MIT Nanda research. It's for the August 2025 recent ones. Then Gartner also mentions that there is 644 billions in 2025 spending towards GenAI. 76% up from 2024. I don't think it's going to go down, or not sure, but this is what the report says. But the expectation of the outcome is declining fast because there are many failed projects. So the promise from us, before I hand off to Ravi, it will help you to realize that whether you fall into 95% or 5%, or you might have realized already, but it helps you to think that what is the way to get a grip on that in your AI adoption journey, and what are the next steps that you yourself can take it for your team or yourself, or you can recommend to your leader. Okay. With that, I'm going to hand over to Ravi, please.
Thank you, Jitu. And I'm going to take this share, and I'm seeing comments come in about the need for change management. So sometimes there might be a bias in the tech industry where we sometimes devalue the human aspect, and we get fascinated with our toys, our tech toys, and we feel all this human aspect is touchy-feely nonsense. And so I'm glad that Mark is reminding us that change management is important. So let's imagine that Sam got a do-over. Right now, maybe he's on a performance improvement plan. There are rumors that the board members are looking for an alternative. But let's go back in a time machine and see what would Sam have done different if he had used an ROI first approach. So let me just do a logistics check. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
And okay, cool. All right. So Sam hires, this is take two. So Sam hires, he hears about this ROI based approach from the ROI Institute. He hires a certified ROI professional, Roy, as a coach to guide this. The ROI Institute methodology is a very detailed approach. It has 5 puzzle pieces. You have an evaluation framework, a process model, some principles and values. They have a body of knowledge in terms of applying and practicing the craft of ROI management. And then there's the implementation where you bring everything together. There are 5 levels of ROI management metrics. Level 1 is reaction. Did the people who are getting, let's say, AI training, what was their experience in AI training? Level 2, learning. Did they learn anything? Did they learn prompt engineering or code generation, Claude? Level 3 is, are they actually applying the theory to their day-to-day jobs? Level 4, are they moving the needle on business metrics? And level 5, for every dollar spent, how many cents of return are we getting? So it's a pretty detailed approach. In today's webinar, it's a short webinar. I'm going to quickly breeze through. The intent is that you get a sense for what this approach is like, and then you can make an informed choice. Do you want to look at what might be possible if you explore this further? So you will not walk away with a PhD or a certification in ROI management. So Roy, the ROI coach, he sequences the whole AI pilot in 7 phases. Phase 1, starting with why. Talk to the board members. How is this aligned with business needs? Step 2 or phase 2, make sure that we are choosing the right AI tools and just don't go on a wild, crazy spending spree, buying every tool under the sun. Phase 3, how are we going to plan for measurable ROI? Phase 4, make sure that the people who are attending the training, any AI training, they have a positive experience and they have an intention to apply the theory in their day-to-day jobs, and make sure that they actually understood the theory. And then once they leave the class, make sure that they are applying it in their day-to-day jobs and moving the needle on metrics, business metrics. And then there will be skeptics out there who will say, all this is nonsense. You spent a bunch of money. I'm not convinced that you actually, the claims you are making about the effectiveness of this, I distrust you. So you have to earn the trust of stakeholders and you have to make it credible. So there are techniques for doing that. And finally, Roy will equip Sam for take 2, going back to the board of directors and telling the story. So these are the 7 phases of ROI management, and I'm going to quickly breeze through. And I won't be able to monitor the Q&A panel or chat. So Jitu, please interrupt me anytime if you see any question that needs to be addressed. Okay. So here's where Roy starts. So Roy goes and talks to the board. Why? Let's start with why. So this is kind of related to the change management aspect that Mark was referring to in his comment. So Roy asks the board, why? What do you want and why do you want it? Why do you want us to use GenAI? What are the metrics you want to impact? What's your budget? And what are your payoff expectations? And it sounds pretty basic, but in all the years that I've been doing this work, when I ask my clients this, they really struggle with these answers. So in this case, the board responds. The board says, hey, we want to use GenAI because we are shopping the company. It's a PE-backed company. The current owners want to exit. The future owners are saying, hey, do you have an AI story? So we want to be able to say, yes, we do have a successful AI pilot. So we want to boost the valuation and we want to increase profit. And we are willing to give you about 50K for a small pilot. We need you to make at least $15,000 in cost savings within 1 year. Now, this gives Sam and Roy some context inside of which they can plan their AI pilot. So Roy goes to step two. And this is important from a human aspect, the change management aspect. Very often, management in tech companies will dictate to the team, thou shalt go and use AI, and they neglect the human aspect. And people are forced to do things they don't want to do. And I'll tell you one thing about human beings, nobody can force a human being to do something they don't want to do. So this is why Roy says, instead of forcing people, I will ask for volunteers. So he says, hey, we've got 10 people, 10 slots open. Who wants to be part of this AI pilot? And 10 people volunteer. They call themselves the AI pilots. So Roy gives them some questions to start exploring. Where should we focus? What needs to change? How can we make it happen? What's the solution? So the context is $50,000 budget, $15,000 savings within 1 year. That's the container in which you have to evaluate options for GenAI in SDLC. So the AI pilots, they define the needs. So they say, we want to focus on using GenAI to reduce support calls by releasing a customer self-service feature. And we want to see if we can reduce time to market. So we want to move the needle on this metric, the time to market from the time a feature is conceived to the time the feature is deployed in production and usable by the clients. And they didn't buy every tool under the sun. They said we're going to use ChatGPT Enterprise, Figma AI, GitHub Copilot, Cursor, ExcelQ Autopilot. So these are just, they've chosen 5 or 6 tools. This is illustrative. If you choose to use this approach, do what makes sense in your context. So now Roy asks there's a bug here, it should be AI pilot. So Roy asks AI pilot, so if you had a magic wand and you could design your ideal learning program, what content, what would you want to learn? What kind of knowledge, theoretical knowledge, tools knowledge, skills would you need? And the team says, well, we want fundamentals of GenAI, product management with ChatGPT, design with Figma, development with Copilot and Cursor, and testing with ExcelQ. So this is our curriculum. This is what we want. Roy says, fine. And he says, okay, now, how do you guys like to learn? Because we all have different preferences in terms of learning. So they say, first thing, you got to tell managers to give us breathing room, because one way to destroy ROI is to tell the team to attend training while their managers are breathing down their necks and saying, suck it up, buttercup, you still got to make the release dates, right? So very often what will happen is people will turn off the camera, put themselves on mute, and they are busy coding because the manager says, hey, when are you going to release the feature? So the AI pilot says, hey, you got to give us breathing room to learn. And we like self-paced learning. So we want to watch videos, and then we want hands-on lab sessions where we apply what we learn in our day-to-day work on the epic, the self-help epic. And we want to be able to talk to our community, our coaches and trainers on Slack. And we want bi-weekly reviews with stakeholders. And we want two-way accountability. So yes, we will deliver value to the company, but when the company is getting in the way, we want executives to remove impediments. So they do a handshake, again, the change management aspect, and we are off to the races. So now we start targeting the metrics. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. GenAI will get you there faster, better, cheaper. So Roy and the AI pilots define metrics. So what will be the survey results at the end of the training? How many of the participants will walk away with knowledge that they want to apply? How will you certify that they learned what they actually learned? What's the expectation about how quickly they will apply what they learn after the training? And how quickly do you expect them to move the needle? So they create some kind of a data collection plan to define the targets versus actuals. And then, as we are preparing for the board meeting, maybe 6 months from now, they they start thinking, how are we going to earn the trust of the board of directors? How are we going to cater to the concerns of skeptics who are saying this is all bullshit? So how can we isolate the impact from the training? How can you convert it into dollars that the CFO and the PE firm will respect? And finally, how will we tell the story? So they get all of that together. And now Roy takes this and he starts using this to design a learning program. So the input is the AI pilots, the participants in the program. He now understands what kind of a learning experience they need if you expect them to go and transfer the learning to their job. So he starts designing the right learning program with the right modalities. Uh, he selects the certification program to make sure people actually learn what they were supposed to, and if not, provide additional support. And then the expectation is set that, hey guys, within 1 week of completing the training, you need to start applying. And here's how we are going to see the application. So they design this agreement. In the systems coaching world, you may call it a designed alliance or a working agreement. And then they start building data collection into the coding so that the metrics dashboard is getting stood up while the feature is being developed. And then they make sure that within 1 week, application is getting transferred to their job. The scoreboard is starting to take shape. And within 2 weeks of the end of the training, then the sprint reviews are being used for visualizing the lead and lag indicators and making course corrections. They also do one thing which Sam did not do in take one. They baseline the current time to market. So right now they have statistics which say that when you start, let's say, an epic, from the time you think of an epic to the time that it's deployed to the customer, it takes about 6 months these days, currently, pre-Gen AI. So now we have a baseline to compare against. Fast forward 6 months later in take two, the pilot is complete. And based on the metrics, whether you use Jira or Azure DevOps, they have the metrics and they can see that there was a 20-day reduction in the cycle time. So for comparable features that used to take 180 days pre-Gen AI, now it takes 160 days. So they annualize the reduction. So if 6 months you save 20 days, multiply by 12 months, you'll save 40 days for a comparable feature. Now they try to monetize and isolate it. So they go to the CFO and they tell the CFO, hey, we feel based on the pilot, we can shave off 40 days of time to market per year. What do you think? CFO says, hey, I think this is BS. I want to isolate what contribution GenAI made to this. So the CFO considers three choices: control groups. So you could have team A, which did not use GenAI. You could use their cycle time or time to market compared to Agile pilots. You can use trend lines. So you can compare how many days did it used to take Agile pilots pre-AI and how much does it take them post-AI. And maybe experts. Experts are trusted people trusted by the board, people trusted by CEO, the PE firm. And you can ask them, hey, what percentage of this contribution do you think was because of GenAI and what's your confidence level? So CFO uses some or all of these techniques and says, you know what, I think out of these 40 days, only 50% is because of AI. And being conservative, Roy says, no problem. So let's say we only shaved 20 days. So Roy gives up 20 days of time to market reduction. Says, okay, you know what? If based on the pilot, it looks like we can shave 20 days of time to market every year. Now let's monetize it. So the CFO says, you know what? I'm willing to make a deal with you that every day saved is like 1 day of payroll saved. So if you say, give me 20 days, I'm going to go to bat for you, and I'm going to go to tell the PE firm, the board of directors, the CEO that I think this is credible as a CFO. We can save 20 days of payroll, 20 days of cost every year. So this is the math. They say annual, the daily cost of a team is $8,000, a 10-person team, so annual cost saving is 160. So this is the benefit of the program. Now Roy calculates the cost of the program. All the training coaching is $63,000. And now he does the ROI, benefit cost ratio. There's a little bit of math. Benefits divided by costs, 160 by 63,000. So it's 2.54. Return of investment percentage, 25%. And basically the program has, in a way, paid back for itself because you spent $63,000, but you already saved a bunch of money. So you already made up the money, right? Now, imagine you are a board member for ABC Enterprises, the same as Take One. Sam comes and tells you the story. We completed the pilot. It was a 10% AI pilot. We adopted 5 tools, spent 63K, reduced time, annualized reduction in time to market by 20 days, equivalent to 160K saving, 25% ROI. Can you give me some more money? I want to expand this pilot. What would you say? And I can't see the comments. It's hiding somewhere. So if there are any comments, Jitu, please let me know.
Sure.
All right. And I think
Yeah, there are some questions, but I'll reserve it towards the end
okay.
of it. Don't want to lose the flow there.
Okay. So closing thought. So this is from Jack Phillips, the person who created the ROI methodology. We are spending a lot of money hoping that Gen AI will create the ROI. We are terrified we are going to fall behind. My invitation to you is to do what Jack says, which is don't rely on hope, don't rely on luck. Be disciplined about spending somebody's precious hard earned money. The investor's money is precious, the faith of your stakeholders is precious. Change is inevitable, progress is optional. Choose wisely. There will be consequences. So, some references, if you want we might find a way to share the slides with you, or on the TechGrit LinkedIn page, we'll share some of these references. So we'll have some curated references. So if you want to do it yourself, you will have some resources. And then I want to hand it over to Jitu if you have any Q&A.
Yeah. Few questions here.
Mhm.
Says that how do we justify AI budgets when our board already thinks AI is hype? I believe you covered in step 3 or step 4.
If the board feels it does not have to be a solution looking for a problem. So if you believe that it is not hype, then my advice to you is do a controlled experiment to test your hypothesis that it is not hype, and be curious and be open, where whatever, be scientific. So don't try to be attached to the outcome that AI is not hype, and don't put your thumb on the scale, but do a scientific experiment, and based on the results, make a scientific decision. That's what I would recommend.
This is I think, related question. I'll sequence it. Then in that case, how do we isolate the impact of AI when improvements come from many variables?
That's such a great question. There are, like I said, there are 3 techniques, 3 isolation techniques, but the simplest isolation technique, I'll give you an example, the expert analysis. So you can have 3 sources of experts, but let me back up and tell you the metric. Let's imagine in our case, there was a 40-day, let's say, annual cost reduction. Imagine you ask an expert trusted by the CEO, hey, what percentage of this is attributable to Gen AI? I know this is not scientific. The expert says, I think 60%. Okay. What is your confidence level in your estimate? Expert says, I don't know. I just like it's intuition, man. Maybe 30%. All right. Let's multiply your estimate with your confidence level. Let's say it comes up to 30 into 60. Let's say, whatever. My math is horrible. 20%. Be conservative and then just use 20%. If you look at the financial forecasting of publicly traded companies in the US, you will see a huge chapter on risks and uncertainties, but all of financial modeling is based on reasonable, plausible, defensible assumptions. This is what I learned in business school in SMU. And my invitation is to transfer the same kind of plausible, defensible modeling that is used with shareholders every single day and to bring it back to ROI analysis.
So there is a comment. Thanks, Ravi. It's about the large enterprise context. I can imagine that a pilot would be much more challenging in a larger organization where AI team might be embedded into a larger enterprise AI team. How might you
Yes.
approach ROI in that structure?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Thank you. So, just to give you context, I was enterprise agile coach for a 10,000 person, multi-billion dollar publicly traded company with 5,000 people in IT, 350 plus teams, 26 R&D centers. And how I would recommend is start with a small pilot, and then based on how that pilot goes, radiate it slowly. I would also recommend creating an AI community of practice and creating, let's say, if you have an AI wiki or Confluence, and allow people to self select how they want help. So be non negotiable in terms of fidelity to the outcomes and fidelity to the metrics, organizational metrics, but provide flexibility into how the team achieves those goals. So, bigger question, but that is the approach that I have successfully used in multiple organizations, starting from 10 people to 10,000 people.
There's a comment here, Ravi, on the MIT study. The MIT study also needed better framework. Right? It has since its publication received additional scrutiny and commentary, not all in alignment with the published results. I think, yeah, true. For right,
It's a
there
valid
was
point.
many
Yes.
controversial conversations happened.
Yeah.
If you don't go by the 95%, 5% empirical number there, let's validate on the, how the adoption is happening. Is that
Yeah.
emotion right or not? Numbers, keep the numbers aside. But, what's your take on that, Ravi?
I think my take is it's okay if that study, if you feel is not a credible study. However, if that study invites us to have this conversation, which is okay, forget MIT, show me the money, show me your numbers. What is the percentage of ROI you are getting in your company? And as long as you are a good steward for the money of your investors and the hope of your customers and stakeholders, I think that's fine. Forget about the MIT study.
Yeah. Yeah. What gets measured gets done.
Gets
So
managed,
please
yeah.
go.
Yeah, what gets measured gets managed. Drucker, I think, Peter Drucker.
Yeah. So it's an interesting, simple question, but a good one. We already bought in bunch of AI tools. Is it too late to apply ROI methodology now? We don't have one, and how do we do that?
I not at all. Uh, it's like we want to avoid the sunk cost fallacy. Just because we have bought a bunch of ROI tools, does that mean that we keep spending precious money without rigor? No. It's okay you spent a bunch of ROI money. You did the best you could with what you knew at that time. That's part of being human. Now you know better, do better. Start now. Establish baselines. Ask the questions. It's a very lightweight framework if you look at it. I was able to give you a quick overview in maybe 10, 15 minutes. If nothing else, start with those questions. And I and then if you get stuck, get help. But it's not too late.
Question. This is my question. What percentage of productivity gain is realistic for GenAI adoption inside engineering teams? That's have some compiled questions for you.
Yeah,
Do you have any stories to share?
I'll tell you my story. So we are using it for my product, for Aldente, the SaaS product that I'm building. And I have personally used it both for product management and in software engineering. So our CTO Nikhil has been using it. And I've actually done a study myself. So I did a 90-minute prototyping, a pair programming session with a fellow trainer where we used ChatGPT and Claude to write a simple data connector to Azure DevOps. We spent about 90 minutes. It was a 90-minute
Mhm.
experiment.
Right.
Within 5 minutes, we got the first line, first set of code, and Claude is like very confident. Everything's working
Mhm.
fine. And then we found defect after defect after defect. Uh, After 90 minutes, we still didn't have production code. But intuition, this is not a scientific study. Intuition said that maybe for very simple pieces of kinds of functionality, if you provide the right context to Claude, maybe for simple things you could save, I don't know, 20 to 50%. I don't know. But I don't believe the hype that you see on LinkedIn where someone says, I rewrote HubSpot in 1 hour or 2 hours. I mean, the truth is somewhere in between. But Jitu, you are more of an expert than I am
Well,
because you're
our
hands on.
personal, yeah, our personal stories, I think each client application platforms have a different context to it. Anywhere from 20 to 50% is possible, but if you have a method to the madness about how you are doing the adoption and the measuring it, and then having more reviews, human in the loop, still there for the prompt review and the context review of it, and feeding that and training the team well enough before you start do that. Otherwise, we've seen cases, horrible cases, where people spending time to reversing what they
Yes.
already checked in because of fluff that these tools are giving it. So I think much more emphasis on the design from the get-go itself, and the how you are designing the prompt and the context, as I mentioned, and then we are able to see. But it is about the similar principles of agile, where and the metrics that we need to see how much velocity, how much adoption is happening, and slowly. It's not about everybody use it at one shot, right? So that way, if you compare the velocity as well as the have a collaborative prompt mechanism within the teams, so that it's a reusable prompts, we are sharing it with the team members and so forth. I think it's somewhere around 20 to 50 is definitely what we are seeing, and 2026 is going to be a good game changer, in my opinion, for that. It's maturing, tools are maturing and giving that additional memory capacity to help the team members to share that knowledge.
Yeah, yeah, and I have a couple of comments, if I may. I would say avoid velocity, use cycle time because velocity can be easily gamed. Cycle time is
Mm.
harder to game. So I would say
I see.
choose something like cycle time and uh, don't neglect the human aspect,
Mhm.
especially if people are scared that if there's a 30% cost reduction because of AI, 30% of people are going to get laid off. If that's the truth,
Right,
tell them the truth. Say, yes,
right.
you know what? But we will support you as best as we can. We will give you referrals, testimonials. You'll have something new to add to your resume. We'll give you support for transitioning, maybe job hunting support. People are not idiots. So it's very naive if management thinks we won't tell the people and they won't figure it out. They'll figure it out. And if you don't tell them, then what will happen is it could consciously or subconsciously sabotage or undermine your effort. So those are two comments. I also saw a comment come in that uh, it's the same premise about 10 years ago when people started talking about the spend versus ROI in Agile. The approach is the same, topic is different. Yes, this is a wave agnostic approach. The wave and the fad of the day or the decade will come and go. This is about a scientific way to test the hypothesis. Is this hype coding or is it vibe coding or something in between?
Super. I think that's the end of it to cover the questions
Okay?
from the folks. Yeah, I think this is the slide. Probably I can speak for it, and Ravi, feel
Sure.
free to add on to
Yes,
it.
please.
Right.
Yes,
By
please.
and large, based on my discussions with you and other clients and all, generally the A initiatives, if not the 95%, even it is a 60%, 70%, because everybody, CTOs and the engineering leaders are rewriting the playbooks now, right? They are busy rewriting. Even they are getting trained themselves on it. The initiatives are definitely the pilot projects, and the small projects are getting failed for the basic reasons. The baseline metrics is no excuse there. You need to have some metrics to track. I know Agile gives you some kind of a metrics, but you need to introduce this AI adoption. How much of the Gen AI usage really being used, right? Those kind
Mhm.
of a metrics is important to compare, and along with the qualitative metrics also. Each company, based on the dynamics of that group, they need to have their own qualitative
Mhm.
metrics for that. And it's again, this is one of the key things. Second one, performative AI instead of outcome-based AI. Do you want to talk a little bit about it, Ravi?
Yeah, so sometimes there's a pressure to do a performance like a dog and pony show and do a lot of chest thumping and show all the tools and all the money. It's not a performance. We've done this with Agile, where you were
Right.
just standing in a room and having a daily stand up. So watch out for the temptation to just put on a performance and
Right.
focus, be ruthless about using the tool in service of your customers, users, investors, stakeholders. Back to you, Jitu.
Yeah. And the tool first instead of the problem first. I know everybody, trying to catch the wave and the hype cycle. You wanted to show that you are already well versed with the AI and you started that initiative. But starting with the tool is good. You will start there, experimental and all, but you definitely need to have a clarity on what problem to be solved with that, right? That's one of the biggest things is missing out, and the lack of governance, especially with the different departments and then everybody is now. It took a lot of effort to standardize some tools and the right practices and then bring the governance under control. Now it is again going out of the way that right without the governance, independent groups and individuals are going to spend buy the tools of their choice, and it is creating the chaos in the environment.
And
That's
if
what.
I may, yeah. And Jitu, when you're done, I want to add something about governance,
Yes,
please.
please.
Sorry for, yeah. And
Yes.
you may have seen some horror stories. I will not name companies where there were companies who relied completely, big name companies, on AI. They created a report and they sold the report to the government, and there was nonsense there. So governance is important. We are all flawed human beings. If you blindly trust that everything AI says is true, AI can BS very confidently. But if you don't have some governance and checks and balances in place, you could actually
Right.
damage your reputation and do a lot of harm. So governance is important. Back to you, Jitu.
Yeah, that's where I think ignoring the human factor, right? Still human in the loop, and we need
Yes.
to not just about the human factor, about fear of losing jobs or not. It's about even having the human still there, but right, use the capabilities or upskill them to use it in a different level. So lack of governance, right? It ties with the human factor closely now. You need to have people define that governance and you touched upon this human factor there, Ravi. Anything more to offer about the fear of losing jobs?
Absolutely. So I've been trained by a systems coaching company called CRR Global, and the systems coaching model is called ORSC. And it's a beautiful model, and it teaches us how to be transparent about the hopes and fears of the team members and to use that in service of the organizational goals. And if there's anyone who has the hubris or the arrogance to feel that I'm CEO and I can push or drag this team of human beings to do whatever I want them to, I have some news for you. Not going to happen. The system will chew you up and spit you out. So you don't have to be all touchy feely and you don't always have to be all ruthless and unfeeling. The truth is somewhere in between. And that's why I would recommend, I strongly agree with one of the comments that Mark made. The human aspect is so important to tap into the wisdom of the team in pursuit of the greater good of the organization.
Super. With that, the sixth one, it's right. We have seen this many times. No kill criteria, anything new comes up, right? Try to continue do that. It's not about killing the whole A initiative about, but it's about the pilots that you're starting. You need to have a good measuring mechanism to have reflect on and then change the course of it and redefine the problem statement and the outcome that you're looking for. So you need to ruthlessly kill the pilots and then pivot towards the outcomes that you are trying to achieve. So those are all
Yeah.
the six reasons by and large. There might be many. What do you think your current AI approach and what kind of reasons that you are seeing you're lagging behind, if at all, or your chaotic environment in your place?
Yeah. And as you are thinking about the answer, I would also love to hear from you. What is your biggest takeaway? What is the one thing you feel you discovered as a result of this conversation about being a good steward of AI investment in your company? What do you know now that you did not know at the start of this? Uh, and I love Jitu's point about no kill criteria while you're thinking of the answer. And it can be a nuanced approach. So, for example, when I was using ChatGPT in product management, and I asked ChatGPT, okay, I fed the context about the product vision and so on. And I said, okay, give me a top 20 list of features. ChatGPT can spit out a top 20 list in 2 minutes. But not all of those features are aligned with my vision. So maybe I use ChatGPT in product management for product personas, but maybe I don't necessarily give up the reins or the keys to the kingdom to ChatGPT and say, you create my backlog. So the no kill criteria, you may kill use of certain tools in certain contexts. And it doesn't have to be killing all of GenAI. So it can be like a scalpel, like the
Mhm.
fine killing of things which are not in service of value.
Super. Next slide, please.
All right.
So yeah, I think we are about that time where we promised that there are few takeaways, but definitely two stands out is about the resources that Ravi shared and the framework quickly gave us a glimpse of it, and you can we will be sharing this PDF with you all, so that we will publish that in the LinkedIn also. Some of the resources about the ROI first approach, but you need to introduce the AI aspect of it and come up with your own mechanism to track it, measure it. Second one is about we are always there, a call away and the message away to have a 20-minute, 40-minute diagnostic session. Just wanted to share your current state of the things and then get some expertise help. We would be happy to help. Ravi and myself are available.
Yes.
So yeah, QR code, please use the QR code for the Calendly link to schedule, as well as some of the socials handles are there. Follow us there so that we will be keep publishing some of the good topics and the conversations that we are going to bring it to the table. With that, Ravi, I think we did good on the timing wise, and really, thank you for your time and
Thank
the
you.
expertise here. Would
Thank you.
be talking to you more on our customer journeys, and as
Absolutely.
always, I will be reaching out, and I have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hope this was useful, and we would love to serve you if we can. If not, thank you and have a wonderful day or evening.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
thank you all. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.